Hello, everybody, and welcome to Voices of the Goddess podcast, where we empower, inspire, and uplift women to be the goddesses they were meant to be. I'm your co-host, Julietta, also known as the Magical PT, coming to you live from sunny Fort Lauderdale, sunny and hot and sticky Fort Lauderdale.
You're so funny.
I'm sorry, it was so yucky out there this morning. I just had to take a big sigh and go, you're going to be okay. There's air conditioning.
I was just going to say, you'll be back in air conditioning in no time.
And thank God I just got new hurricane doors and windows, and I really think it's making a difference in the temperature of my house. So I'm excited about that. But what gets me most excited in life is my job as a physical therapist, which I'm not really a physical therapist. I'm a healing support specialist. And I guide people on bringing balance into their body and their spirit and their mind. And because you got to look at the whole. And when I'm not healing bodies, I'm busy making jewelry, painting. I'm super excited. I have a new painting project coming up, which I'm not going to share what it is yet, but I'll have to tell you about it on a break, Allison. You're going to die when I tell you about
I can't wait.
But
is it going to be one of those? Is that going to be one of those moments again where I'm like, did you just really paint what I think you painted? Is that what I'm going to? Okay.
Maybe.
All right, whatever. Okay.
So, but tell our audience who you are.
I am Allison Mancini. It is awesome to be here. And I am a mom to two young adults, 25 and 22-year-old. I am married for over 28 years. And I have been living in South Florida for over 28 years. Also a Midwest girl at heart from Michigan, which I call home. And the older I get, the hotter it does get down here. There's no doubt about it. I didn't used to mind it so much, but definitely the older I get, it's very different. But I am also a human resources director for an amazing company called The Gold Digger Girl and a functional nutritionist. And my passion really just kind of marries all of that together. I'm really passionate about helping women be the best that they can, whether it's supporting them at The Gold Digger Girl or private clients, working with them with their nutrition, because I know all too well firsthand what a difference it makes if you eat good food. So there you have it.
Awesome. New month, new sponsor.
Mm-hmm.
So our sponsor this month is Bowtie Kids, Courage and Confidence for Kids with Chronic Pain. It's an impact-driven, for-purpose organization committed to enhancing the lives of the youth suffering from chronic pain and their families. Its mission is to inspire courage and confidence in youth living with chronic pain and their families by transforming lives through personal development, community building, and gardening to build a sustainable quality of life. On May 26th, you can join them for their Courage and Confidence Awards to celebrate and honor community leaders who have been courageous and confident in taking on their own lives to serve and support others. You can purchase tickets, bid on silent auction items, enter the raffle, or donate to support their work at www.bowtiekids.org. And I will be at the Courage and Confidence Awards May 26th, so I would love to see people out there. I also donated a really cool gift basket, which has a session with me. It has a mala that I made in there, and nectarine and Kuan Yin mala. It has a diffuser, a whole bunch of doTERRA essential oils.
I might have to go.
I feel like I'm forgetting something that's in there. But anyway, super cool basket. They always have amazing things for their, silent auction and their raffles. And I've, over the years here, I've gone to a lot of fundraising events, and I do have to say their events are super cool. So it's not just like you're there like, ugh, I'm at this fundraising event supporting a good cause. It's, I'm having a good time.
I can imagine they would be fun with Karen and Tracy. Are you kidding me? That'd be awesome. Yeah.
So thank you, Bowtie Kids. So Um, I have to say, I'm sure you can relate a little bit, Allison, as we're getting older here. One thing I love about Facebook is it will remind me of my life back whenever. So yesterday, I get reminded of a post from 2010. So this
Wow.
was 12 years ago, which I love this too because I've been on this journey for a long time of personal growth and transformation and everything spiritual, metaphysical. And as the years go on, you kind of forget when did these thought processes begin to enter into my life, and so Facebook reminds me of these things. So in 2010, I posted this quote from Neil Donald Walsh, which is also interesting given that just recently we did, Conversations with God as one of our book club books.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the quote that I had put of his, this was May 3rd, 2010. Do not confuse physical vibrance with spiritual vitality. You are not your body. Your body is simply a tool, a magnificent tool for sure, but nothing more than that. As with all tools, your body will from time to time need repair, and one day it will wear down completely. Your soul will do neither, not now, not ever. Listen, therefore, to the whispers of the soul, not the cries of the body. And it was just like, oh, that's why my office is called Body and Soul PT. And it is so important to address both and also have that understanding that this is not what you are. It's just the tool, the vessel you use to make it through this 3D world that we're in right now.
Yeah, and I think it's brings this to my mind, and I'm sure I'm not going to explain it well, and it's way deeper than a quick conversation. But it actually was when, and this is going to sound weird, but when we had to put Rudy down, our puppy, when he was only 6 months old, it was really traumatizing. I've put my pets down before, but not when they are babies. That was really, really rough. And I was reading something at the time because I was struggling to get through it, and they talked about, when you go down to the bare bones of it, our bodies are their energy, their atoms, that whole thing. And when you think of it that way, energy is everywhere. So it's just a shift of energy. It's just a change of how the energy looks. And it made me feel so good about Rudy, because the reality is the energy's still there. It's just in a different form. And that I don't know why that made me think of that. But when you were saying that about our bodies wear out, but our souls, they're always there. It's just not ever something that goes away. It's just, yeah, I don't know. It's really hard to explain. And I know I just got really totally deep and crazy right there. It made me feel better.
That's what matters.
That's right. Okay, so
should we bring our guest on?
Before
we dive too deep.
Good morning, Anna. How are you?
Good morning, ladies. I'm great. Thank you for having me.
We are so glad to have you today. And it turns out we know a lot of people in common, which I love. That is so awesome. But Anna, please go ahead and introduce yourself to our audience and tell them a bit about you and what you do.
You got it. I'm Anna Littlejohn, and I'm also a Midwest girl. I was born in Ohio, but I moved to Central Florida when I was about 9 years old. So honestly, I feel like I'm a Floridian too, but I'm the typical Floridian that's like born somewhere else. I went to school in Melbourne, which is a small town a little bit north of here. And that's kind of like where my heart is. A lot of my family still lives there. I just love that area of Florida. And I kind of think maybe one day when I retire, I may head back that way. But for now, I live in Fort Lauderdale, and I'm getting ready to celebrate my 18th wedding anniversary with my husband, Mike. And we have 3, I was going to say beautiful kids, but I always laugh when people say that because I'm like, well, what if your kid's ugly? But I have 3 beautiful kids. I have a 13-year-old, a 15-year-old, and a 17-year-old. I have my oldest ones are girls, and my youngest is a boy. And I tell everyone that if my boy came first, that he'd be the only child because he has. Let's just say he's.
My mom always said that if my brother came first, I probably wouldn't exist.
Boys are, I'm sorry, I have a boy and a girl, and boys are way easier. I'm sorry, Lexi, if you're hearing this, but you know.
Oh man, I don't know. He just brings a lot of energy to our family. I'll just put it that way. A lot of energy. And I do a couple things for a career, but the two main things are, I operate and own a plastic company in Fort Lauderdale, and people are always like, well, what do you do? What is plastic is everywhere. But we specialize we make yacht windows. Fort Lauderdale is the yachting capital of the world. So we're located here. And what we do is, when you see a big boat in the intercoastal and you see that big clear, windshield that they're behind in the pilot house or up on the flybridge, we make those, which is kind of a niche market. But we also do like custom fabrication, little things all over the boat too. We can make anything, but we specialize in boat stuff. Like I was telling you girls before, I love what I do, and it's been 25 years. But I'm not super passionate about that. I was telling you guys that I just push paper. I do the necessary evils, the tasks that need to be done, but I don't really feel like I'm, changing anyone's lives. So about 3 years ago, I was frustrated with myself. My hormones were off. I just wasn't feeling like I felt like I should feel. I don't feel like once you reach your 40s that life should be over. And so I was searching for something that would help, me just gain some ground on my health and wellness. And I found a program called the Faster Way to Fat Loss. And I went through the program as a client. In about the first 3 weeks, I realized not only was it working for me and I could see it was working for everyone around me, but I thought to myself, this is what I'm passionate about. This is what I was meant to do. So right after I finished my program, the coaching opportunity came about, and I couldn't run to it fast enough. So I went through the certification program, got certified, and started running my own rounds immediately as quick as I could. And initially I started gathering up all my friends and family, like, hey, you have to do this, which is what new coaches always do. You rely on your core base. But then eventually word gets out, and one friend tells another and a family member tells another, and they're like, hey, I got a girl. And, so now I have people coming to me from all over, saying, hey, can you help me out? And I put these women through an initial 6 weeks round where I teach them how to carb cycle, establish and track their macros, teach them how to, choose whole food nutrition over processed food. We do fitness. We don't, that's not the main focus, but we have, we try to get in 30 so or minutes of fitness every day. And then we dabble in a little bit of intermittent fasting. So with all of those strategies working together is how we help women, kind of just regain control over I call it food freedom, quit being afraid of food, quit letting it rule you. We focus on non-scale victories. So we don't just focus on the number on the scale. We focus on, are you sleeping better? Do you have more energy? Are you happier with your children? Are you sweeter to your husband? And that is the thing that, like I said, I told you girls, that really fuels my fire. It's what I'm really passionate about. And that's what I think I was meant to do.
That's awesome. I mean, the reality is that if you're not feeling good about yourself, it's really hard to do what you love, what you're here to do. It's very difficult when you don't feel good.
Right.
Absolutely. Okay. So we're going to dive right into our first question. And our very first question for you is, what is one book that has just really impacted you and what you do that you would recommend to all of our goddesses?
Got it. So I read a lot. As I've gotten older and my eyes have gotten worse, I do, full disclosure, I do audio books now, just because I find that I absorb the information more. So I've read a lot of books. I've read a lot of self-help books over the years. I mean, many, many, many. I could tell you many books, but I'm just going to be completely honest. The one that really changed me was a silly book. This isn't like some beautiful coffee table book. It was called Who Moved My Cheese? And I'm sure you guys are familiar with it. And it's a very simple, small book, but it meant everything to me because I think the one thing we can all agree on is that life is full of change. And, we start to head down a path and then something, changes that. And we have to be able to roll with the punches. We have to be able to go with the flow. And we cannot always control what happens to us, but we can control our response to it. And so I think for me, it's Who Moved My Cheese, because it has allowed me to go, oh, okay, we have to pivot. All right, well, that's not working now. All right, let's try this. And just not to freak out when life throws something my way, or if something isn't going the way that I thought it was going. So I have recommended that book to so many people. And, I think they all get the same message out of it, is that, this is happening to us, whether we like it or not, change is happening. But it's our response to it. So I think that is my favorite one of all the ones I read.
I think it should be required reading for like young adults too, because if that's one thing that I wouldn't say my son so much, and I think it is also personality and just whatever life experiences that you've been through. But like, I know my daughter, she hates change. Like she hates when things are different. I mean, listen, that doesn't thrill me either, but like you just said, you have to learn how to respond to it better. I think that's a great book. I think there's so many books that I feel like they could make required reading versus what our kids are doing, but
I agree. I completely agree. And I think that's what I forgot to mention about that book, is even just passing that message along to our children, who I think need it the most, because I didn't read that until I was an adult. So I had some pretty deep-seated, I feel like if we give that to them earlier, that they will be able to kind of, start that roll with the punches and understand that, hey, life is going to throw one thing at you after another, So I completely agree that it should be required reading.
Yeah, agree.
I have not read that book.
Homework assignment. It's a super quick read. It
is a quick read.
Book. Yeah.
That's a good, I think. So Juliet is an Audible girl also. I'm not. I like the paper, but I think that would be like a great, I know you like paper too, Julietta, but I think that would be a great Audible book. Like you could really do that quickly and
Exactly.
And put out there. I prefer paper, but Audible, you can squeeze it in while you're driving and doing things that you can't actually physically read a book while you're doing. So that's
I do know a woman who walks in my neighborhood and she reads a book while she walks.
Oh, I've never seen that.
And she walks like far, not just like in my immediate, like out in like my whole big circle. Yeah.
I could never do that. But I also, when I used to commute on 95, I literally would see people reading books while they're driving on 95. Exactly why I stay off of there as much as possible.
I will read. I'll put a book in my car and I'll read it at red lights, because red lights are so
at a red
long.
light. That's one thing, but driving 65 miles an hour down 95 reading a book is a completely different thing.
But I can get through like 3 pages at a red light, maybe 4.
You can. Or the perpetual waiting for your kids. I mean, I'm just constantly waiting for my kids somewhere. So that's when I read.
Another one.
There you go. Yeah. All right. We got to reel it in.
All right.
Question number 2, Anna, is what is your favorite self-care practice and how does it support you?
Okay. How much time do we have? This is my jam. Okay. I'm going to start with saying that when I initially had my kids, prior to kids, it's all self-care, right? It's you're self-absorbed. It's you. You have your kids and, that takes a back seat. And I had some people in my life at that time that used to make me feel vain or narcissistic or, just self-absorbed if I ever decided to try to take care of myself in any way, and I didn't love my kids as much if I took a day or if my husband sent me for a massage or, and I had to really kind of slap myself out of that mentality. And, and I know that this is, we've all heard what I'm about to say is that, if you don't take care of you, how can you take care of anyone else? That is real, so I love that my kids see me prioritize self-care. I think that is so important. And I think that self-care is important for them too. And I think that them seeing me take care of myself is one of the greatest gifts that I can give them. So just to rattle off a few of my favorites, I'm a dry brusher. I'm a sauna user. I'm a vibration plate user. I'm a big proponent of moving your body every day. If it just means walking, just walking. Walking is fantastic. We don't all have to be in CrossFit to move our bodies. Just move our bodies. They want to be moved. Of course, I'm into facials and things like that. But I think my main things are, just sitting with a cup of bone broth and taking a minute to, even if I'm not fully meditating, just a quiet moment to myself to center myself and to say, okay, well, I'm ready to tackle today. I like I said, I could go on and on about this, but those are a few of my favorites.
The other day, I literally was standing in the kitchen and I'm like, I just need to lay down on the couch for a minute. I just feel like I just want, and I literally went over the couch and I just laid there and I just stared. It was probably like 5 minutes, but it felt so good. I felt so much better when I got up. I was like, sweet. I feel like I can go on about my day. But
and you listened to your body's message. Your body told you, go lay down for a minute. You need a minute.
I just needed a minute. Yeah.
Right.
It was 5, but I still, whatever. I mean,
right.
Yeah. But I love that you brought up dry brushing. I do dry brushing also. And there was one other one that you said that, the vibration plate, like those, I love that. That's awesome.
That's been amazing. Yeah.
And thank you for making that comment about the exercise. Cause I sometimes feel like we have such misunderstanding about, like, if you aren't doing this like intense CrossFit for an hour and a half and half an hour of yoga following it, you're not really working out. And that's so far from the truth.
Your body just needs movement.
Yeah, just move it really does. Stretch it, move it, go out and get some freaking fresh air, for goodness sakes, people.
Get some vitamin D, get some circulation moving, get your heart pounding just a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. Oh, yeah. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I went off on a tangent there, but it's all good. It's all good. Okay, so our next question for you, Anna, is, so we all have difficult days, we wake up and not really feeling it, but we still have to show up and we have to get things done. So how do you rise up and get through your day when you're having one of those days?
For me personally, it's my kids are watching. They're always watching. And I don't want them to think that I'm perfect, because no one's perfect, obviously. And I do have tough days. Everybody does. But I know that they're watching, and they're watching how I respond to those tough days. And I pride myself on them viewing me as strong. I don't crumble at at bad news, and I don't, it's for them. And, that's not to say that I don't go in my room at night after it's all over and shed a tear, because I certainly have. But I just think that my little people are always watching. And I think that's the main driver. And I would throw my husband in there too. I always like to impress him. I like him to think that I'm just, the woman that can handle everything. And so I feel like they are really my drivers of, hey, you know what? Life sucks sometimes, but get up and do it anyway. You don't have.
We lost your volume.
Yep, we lost your volume, Anna. Can't hear you at all.
Oh, okay.
Okay, now we can.
Okay,
there you go. You're back. You're back.
I think that we all have those days, but I think that it's important that they see that you push through them anyway.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I remember when my daughter, she's got 2 medical diagnoses, and the first one she got when she was 1, so she doesn't. I mean, she knows she has it, but she doesn't remember it. But the second one she got when she was 11. So she was in 5th grade. It was very traumatizing. And I will never forget, she had a full-on meltdown, which I was too on the inside, believe me. And I remember going upstairs and she was in her bathroom and I could hear her crying. And I knocked on the door. She let me in and I said, what's going on? And she's like, I'm just so mad. I don't understand why this is happening to me. Why did God give me this? That whole thing. And I looked at her and I said, you know what? I agree. And you completely can have a moment to cry, get it all out, scream, do what you need to do. I said, but in about 15 or 20 minutes, I'm going to come back and we need to get up, make a choice to move forward. And how are we going to handle this moving forward? And I think that's such an important message.
I couldn't respect that more.
Yeah. Yes. And that we need, we are going to all have bad days and fall apart, but we also do have to continue to move on. So, yeah.
And you can't cure normal, right? Normal is when we get that message, when we get that diagnosis, that's life-changing, that's life-altering. And why me is a normal response to that.
Absolutely.
And I think you can't cure normal. You just kind of have to go through that emotion, you know?
Got to feel those feels, right, Julietta?
Feel your feels.
That's right.
All right. Our fourth question, Anna, is, and we know all of our life experiences shape who we are, but there's those standout ones that have played a big role in it. So what is one life experience that has greatly formed who you are today?
I thought about this question. I have many. You know, I think everybody has defining moments in their life. You know, you think back, you know, if you're from a split home, maybe your defining moment is when your parents got divorced. You know, if you suffered a significant loss at some point, then that would be a defining moment. And I have those. I think the one that stands out to me the most is meeting my business partner. And we are, after 25 years, we're incredibly good friends, and you know, so much so that my kids call him uncle. But the reason I choose that is, you know, I'm just a poor girl from Ohio, you know, wasn't really expected to go anywhere, to do anything. You know, like I said, I grew up in Melbourne, in a very small town. We didn't have a lot of resources. My family didn't have any money. You know, and this isn't, I don't mean this is about money. This is just about the path that I was headed down. And in my soul, I don't believe it was a great one. You know, I don't believe that where I was at that time, I was really destined for where I am now. You know, I don't know. I see that as a dead end. And when I met my partner, you know, and we started talking about, well, what are your dreams? And he's like, well, what are yours? And, you know, his dream was opening up his own plastic company. And I thought it was so simple in my mind. I was like, well, why don't you? And I'm sure that was naivety at the time, right? You know, I'm sure it was more complex than that. But in my mind, it wasn't. You know, I was like, well, what do you mean? That's your dream. Do it. You know, and he looked at me like, have you lost your mind? You know? And I'm like, well, do you know how to do the work? And he's like, well, yeah. And I said, well, how hard can the rest of it be? You know? And we just kind of tackled one thing at a time. You know, we went to get a place and it was like, oh, well, you can't do that until you have a business license. Oh, well, we went to get a business license. Oh, well, you can't do that until you have insurance. Well, you can't get insurance until you're incorporated. So I would just kept backing it out. You know, I didn't really know what I was doing. I just kind of kept exploring until we figured it out. And, you know, I feel like that was the major defining moment of my life. I feel like I was headed down one path, and that was the fork in the road for me. And, you know, and I would think that, you know, I know for a fact that he says the same thing, that meeting me, you know, changed his life as well, because while he had that dream, he wasn't really realizing it, or he wasn't really putting it into action. So, you know, I know I could say meeting my husband, and naturally that is absolutely a defining moment of my life, or, you know, having my kids. But I really think the person I am today is based upon that relationship and the start of that relationship.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. And I love the whole, we say this often, everything is figure outable.
I was just gonna say the same thing. I'm like, that's so cool how you guys had to, you kind of reverse engineered and figured it out as you went along. You were resourceful, and I love that. Juliana, that totally stuck out to me too. I was like, oh, there she is being resourceful.
I have a thing I have to say, how hard can it be? I mean, seriously, we weren't going to the moon. I mean, we were just starting a business. How hard can it be?
And now, darn, you got Google. You can find just about everything on there, or YouTube. So, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. All right, Anna, if there's one thing that you would like our audience to take away from our time together today, what would that be?
Oh my gosh. I would say choose happiness, choose positivity, you know, live in reality, but just try to choose happiness. I mean, I make a choice every single day. You know, I came from a not so happy childhood. Things weren't great for me when I was younger, but I decided that I was going to make a great life anyway, and that I was going to be a happy mom for my kids anyway. And I think that's the most important thing. You know, we all have traumas, we all have things that happen to us, but choosing happy, choosing to just make a great life out of something that wasn't so great, I think is the most important thing that I would pass along to everyone, is that, you know, you can rise above any challenge.
I feel like we're starting a running theme already, Julietta. We choose what we create, right? Like that.
Absolutely.
It's so true.
And the whole concept of choosing happiness. I
Yeah.
preach this all day long with my clients. Happiness is a choice.
It
And that
is.
doesn't mean that you ignore your other feelings, because like we always
Right.
say, feel your feels. Your feelings want to be acknowledged. But, once you've acknowledged it and you felt it, then you have a choice. You can
Right.
stay in the crappy feels, or you can choose happiness.
Yes.
And it is a choice.
I go back to the Hulu car advertisement where she's screaming her head off. You do feel your feels, like you just said, and then you choose to move forward, right? And you choose to do what you just, that's, yeah. What other option do you have? I mean,
exactly. We stay down there, or we just,
no thanks. Yeah,
exactly.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Anna. It has been great chatting with you, and I'm sure our audience have just taken so much good stuff away from this interview with you. So thank you again for being here with us.
Thank you, ladies. I appreciate you having me so much.
Also want to send a huge thank you to our sponsor this month, Bowtie Kids. Just such an amazing nonprofit organization. Please check them out. Please support them. Our kids in pain need them, and for them to survive, they need you. So please support them. And thank you to our audience. Without you, it would be pointless for us to be here. So if you've liked what you've heard, please subscribe, follow, like, share. We'd love some testimonials, some feedback about this show. I get plenty of them verbally from people, but I would love to see some written feedback from you all. So that would be awesome. And if you'd like to get in contact with Anna, Allison, or myself, check out the show notes. Our contact information, our social media, all that good stuff is available in the show notes. And with that, I want to wish everybody a magical day.